Good evening. Good evening, everybody, and thanks very much for joining us. And the people are joining us here. My name is Kay Mitchell, and I'm joined by Deirdre Carroll, my colleague in admissions, and Dara Doyle are one of our students. So this evening's session, we'll be running through the arts degree, and we'll be talking a little bit about careers from arts, and we'll be looking at the transitions and what you can actually specialise in as well. So, for a start, let's look at the admission requirements. I hope everybody can hear me all right. So the admission requirements, we're one of the NUIs. So you're looking at a minimum of 6 subjects, 2 at higher level, 4 passes, English, Irish and a third language. The points for arts last September were 307. And that is really down to the fact there are actually 1,700 places available on this programme of study. So when points are being decided on the CAO, it's the points of the last individual into the degree programme that actually determines the points. And that's all determined in the offers that are made out to the CAO system. It's one of our biggest intake degrees. We've an intake each year of 4,000 students, and 1,700 of those are actually coming in through the arts programme. For the arts degree, obviously, we have a quota of places for here and there. So anybody who's making an application through here and there this year through the CAO, you'll know by June if you've been accepted. And if you are, then you're coming in on flexible points and supports once you're in the system. We have many QQI PLC links as well. They're all available on the website, where anybody who doesn't have the requirements for arts or has the points for arts, or perhaps wants to transition in from the PLC colleges, if you have one of our link programs, have completed and are granted a full award and achieve a minimum of 5 distinctions out of 8, then you would be entitled to be considered for a place on the arts degree. And anybody who's presenting qualifications for PLC are not required to present Irish or a third language. Language exemptions are available through the NUI, our governing body. That's the NUI in Merrion Square, nui.ie. There's exemption forms there you can fill out if you would seek an exemption from Irish. And with that, if you're exempt from Irish and send the exemption to the CAO, then you can come in on your 6 subjects. Irish won't be required if you're exempt. The same with a third language if you wish to have an exemption. But if you aren't entitled to an exemption from a third language and you don't have a third language, then the way around that would be to apply through the PLC route. We also have places available for mature student entry, and for that we're really looking and assessing at your, your set of preparedness to take on a level 8 degree at third level, and application again is through the CAO. So the arts degree then, what's unique about the Maynooth Arts degree is that students who apply for this through the CAO only enter MH101 on their CAO course, on their CAO choices rather. They don't choose their courses until their degree options or the subject options until they actually register for the degree after accepting an offer. So when you have registered, if you've accepted an offer and you've been made an offer and you accept your course and you have chosen your subjects and register, from the time that you actually register and lectures begin, you still have a full 4 weeks to change your mind, which is quite unique to the programme of study. This programme of study and the thinking behind it is to provide a large platform of subjects for students to come in and decide over that first year what it is they really want to major in. It's about you deciding what's going to suit you uniquely, and you can use it as a stepping stone into other specialisms in year 2, or decide after first year in areas that you want to specialise within the degree itself. There are over 30 subjects to choose from, and this is how it works. Every year, students actually take 60 credits, and every subject in here is taught at a baseline of 15 credits. So in total, you could take 4 areas of choice in first year if you wished. Now, for that first year choices, what you've got to keep in mind is that there is a timetable you have to adhere to. So that is indicated here through all the various groups. So anything in a group, all the subjects are taught at the one time. So if you're looking at the screen here, you see subject groups. For example, in group 2, you see a mixture of business, history, and music, for example, is in here as well, of criminology. Well, I could never take business with history. I could never mix maths and math studies and English. I could never take German with law, for example, because it's about choosing a subject per group until I get the combination of subjects that suit me best, because anything in a group is timetabled at the same time. So every subject in here is taught at a baseline of 15 credits, including something called critical skills, which is small class teaching for people who have an interest in upskilling in-depth way on presentation skills, research skills, essay writing skills. An essay at third level is about 1.5 to 2,000 words typed, and you have to show evidence of reading and research around that topic. You do have a couple of weeks lead-in time to present it, but there's a skill set in presenting it in an academic format. This is all taught through the tutorials in all of the subjects, but what critical skills will offer you an opportunity to get an in-depth understanding of how to become really good at that very quickly in first year. Presentation skills will be taught through these areas as well, and you'll learn a lot about utilising resource materials and how to research in a way that you can verify your material that you're researching, and you know what you can actually depend on to quote from and to reference into your work, and how to actually verify that out there if you're using online source material, etc. So it's a real confidence building exercise in many ways as well, and it's a continuous assessment module. So there's a whole range of options here you can choose from. There are subjects here that will be very familiar to Leaving Certs, like geography, history, English, you'll have business, economics, accounting, etc. But do remember what you're studying now, you're studying off the base of a level 5 teaching curriculum that's looking forward to getting you exam ready for the Leaving Certificate exam. When you're coming into third level, you're coming into the world of teaching, but it's also based on research. So every subject here is taught at a very broad research base. So there's a lot more in-depth information in it. There's a broader focus on the subject area. So subjects you may not have enjoyed hugely in school, you can find very much that they're much more enjoyable and much more expansive in their content in the third level sector. But also the opposite can be true. Subjects you enjoyed at second level may not work out the same. Hence we give you that 4-week flexibility and choice. You have options in here that are very different from school, like anthropology, sociology, media and cultural studies. You also have things like international development, and these are all our subjects that will very much explore in-depth society, culture and the individual. Anthropology and sociology will be of great interest to you. If you have an interest in how our society, I suppose, colours our views on the world, how it affects us as we go from childhood to adulthood, how it actually, gives you an understanding of how people think and the views they take. A lot of it is cultural and sociological thinking and conditioning. English will touch on that as well. So will subjects like philosophy, and also areas like politics, which again is a specialism within the whole area of sociology. I find in schools that psychology is of great interest to students, and they have a great interest in understanding human behaviour. Again, you will touch on that on areas like anthropology and sociology. But with psychological studies, what you're doing in that area is you're taking a lot of the material they study in the psychology degrees, and you're kind of allowed to study that as part of the arts quota. Now, to go directly into the psychology degrees, they come in at much higher points. They're in the mid 500 points range. But if you're coming into the arts degree, you can choose an option there called psychological studies, which is about 70% the same as the degree in psychology. What's missing really is the research, scientific research methodology that's inherent into allowing those degrees to become accredited. So after 3 years of psychological studies and another subject, you take it for 3 years in your BA if you wish. It won't be an accredited qualification. But there is on offer by the department a 1-year top-up course. It's a master's conversion programme wherein you study the research methodology at that stage, and that would lend itself to an accredited qualification. So it'll be a journey where it involves 3+1. All students who come into the arts degree are allowed to try out law. It's one of the subjects we offer. Now we have separate entry into law degrees themselves. You can go directly in from Leaving Cert on your points into the School of Law. But if you want to come into an arts degree, you're actually allowed to take law in first year. And students find that quite confusing. But again, it's part of our ethos in giving students broad flexibility and choice in their first year. So anybody who comes into the arts degree on their arts points, if they wish, they can try out law for the initial 4 weeks. And if they take it with 2 other subjects of choice too in first year, if they take the 30 credit option, following year 1 study, if they pass their exams, When they're going to re-register in year 2, at that stage they can make a decision to leave arts and join second year of the law degree. And they can join second year of the LLB, or they could join second year of the BCL, the 3-year Bachelor of Civil Law. And they've had a whole year to make that decision. If they find law hasn't worked out the way they thought it was, and it's not really that appealing to them, they still can continue on with their arts degree in their other subjects of choice. So they continue on and can proceed to get their BA qualification. The business school in Maynooth will offer you many options in business, and as a requirement for that degree you do also need, in conjunction with your points, an 04 H7 grade in maths. But if you come into the arts degree, you can also choose business options. As you can see here, you can choose business international, management, marketing. You can also take options in business with law, or business with accounting, or business with other subjects of choice. Because maths as such isn't an entry requirements for arts, if you didn't make the 04 H7 grade in your maths, if you came in at a lesser grade, then you will still be allowed to take your business options in the arts degree. And again, the same transfer pathways will be open to you to transfer into year 2 business if you wish. On completion of first year, you can of course stay in your arts programme, but after year 1, with your business options, once you've passed your first year exams, there are transfer options whereby you can join the second year of the business school. The accountancy programmes in Maynooth, you see accounting there in group 6, is the higher leaving certificate programme that they teach in year 1 in the arts degree. Each year we have over 800 students odd across the university taking accounting in various different degree programmes, including arts. A chunk of those will have never taken accounting before, some of those will at past level, or some will have explored the higher leaving certificate in school as well. But anybody who takes accounting in first year with either economics or finance, or with business and law, should they wish to, there are pathways where you can transfer into the accountancy programmes in year 2 to go on and complete that qualification should you wish to. Now the grade for transferring from accounting is higher than the ones for law and business, which is a pass grade, which is 40%. For accounting it would be 60%. Music is an option within law. We have a separate music degree in Maynooth where you can go in separately. If you apply for it by the February the 1st, you're going in on a meeting with the department and you submit material either in voice or instrument on video recording prior to that for assessments. So it's seen as a restricted entry programme because you're going into a single honours music degree. But all applicants to arts, should they wish to and have a background in music, can choose music as one of their subjects. Its natural home there is in group 6. It's offered there as a 15 credit option, but you can also take it up as a double subject. Now I've been talking about double subjects here, but there's a little marker here on the slides where you see a circle with the dot in the middle. You find them there beside geography, they're beside law, they're beside business, they're beside music. So it means that all subjects in here are taught a 15 credit option, but to give students even more flexibility and choice, subjects that carry that symbol beside them are also offered as a 30 credit option, which means if you can take it as a double in first year if you wish. So essentially the degree there then is to maximise your flexibility and choice. You could start off, but you take 60 credits each year. Every subject is taught at a baseline of 15. Some you could actually double up on and take as a double, but there's no right or wrong. So essentially you could take 4 subjects of choice in first year, or you could do a double with 2 subjects, or you could do 3 single subjects with critical skills, or you could do a double with a single and critical skills. So there's no right or wrong. It's about you choosing what you have an interest in. You have your 4 weeks to shop around, go to your own lectures you've registered for, and then keep your options open in that first 4 weeks before making your final decisions and deciding what you want to proceed with in year 1. So that it gives you a maximum opportunity to put you in a real position of choice and opportunity for moving forward with your degree. Those of you who are interested in languages, you can study French, German, Spanish or Chinese studies. Those are available at beginners or advanced level. And anybody who wants to come in and take Irish in their degree, Nua Gaeilge is what we call modern Irish, is taught there in group 4. So anybody who wants to take Irish as the language, you need a H4 grade to take it to degree level. If you're using, as an entry requirement, a pass in Irish is sufficient, but to take it at degree level, you are required to have the H4 grade. Those of you who like technical subjects aren't forgotten about in the arts degree. You can choose areas like math studies, you can take statistics, you can take mathematical physics, and there's also a course there in pure maths for people who want to continue on with their higher level maths standard and continue it on in the arts degree with another subject of their choice. Criminology is a kind of a specialism within law. And in the arts degree, it's sitting there in group 2. You could take it as a standalone subject with other subjects. It tends to be very popular with subjects like anthropology, sociology. It's also popular with politics or media, and also with psychological studies, as students tend to go into those subject areas with criminology. So some students can take law and criminology in first year with other subjects of choice, and they can transfer into the law and criminology and degree in year 2 should they wish to, if they've passed first year. But it can be taken in the BA as criminology and another subject of choice to degree level should they wish to do that. So in essence then, you're looking at lots of flexibility here and lots of choice. There's no right or wrong. It's about students deciding on what platform is going to suit them best, really. And in terms of computer science, it's sitting there in group 5. A lot of students who come into third level know a lot about computer science. Others might know a little bit. Others might have very little knowledge at all. The beauty of putting it into an arts degree, and this is the thinking behind it, is that students have 4 weeks to try it out, to taste it, see does it suit them. And there are pathways, if it's taken with mathematical studies in first year, where you could transfer into software engineering in year 2 should you wish to. But you could also stay with computer science and another subject of your choice for 3 years, so that you're not taking an intense training in computer programming. You'd have learned a lot about programming, you'd have learned a lot about computer technology, and if you wish to, after your degree, if you want to add value to it, there are higher diploma and further studies you can add on after your degree as a graduate. Music technology is a little bit like sound engineering. It's where the world of sound meets the world of technology. And if you're interested in, in things like electroacoustic music composition, or if you're interested in sound engineering itself, it's an interesting one to look at. So it's computer programming, it's sound, it's taught by the music department. So it's well worth a look if you're that way inclined. So you can mix and match your subjects really depending on what you're interested in. We have these subjects that look towards the world around us through history, geography, philosophy. We also have classical studies in here if you're interested in looking at the precursor to our modern society, and you also have the wonderful subjects there, medieval, Irish and Celtic studies as well. So there's lots to choose from. There's lots of choices to make, and there's no right or wrong. It's about you making an individual choice based on what you're interested in, so that by year 2 you have a better sense of yourself, you have a better sense of what third level involves, and you're making an informed now choice. It's an informed decision you're making rather than one that's just based on research alone. So when you're entering year 2, and there's an excellent booklet on the website under publications, it's called the MH1 Art Subject Guide. And if you pop it into Google, in fact, MH101 Art Subject Guide, it gives you an A to a Z directory of all the subjects that are taught in arts and how all the transfer pathways work. But you will find an overview of that in the prospectus as well. If you're staying in arts then, after year 1, you can continue on with 2 subjects of choice to degree level for a double major. A single major isn't available in everything, but it is in some areas. You can take a single major in things like anthropology, economics, finance, English, geography, history, etc. Or you could do a major minor. And a major minor, remember, every year you're taking 60 credits, so you can take 40 credits in one and 20 in another. For those of you who might be interested in secondary school teaching, anybody who's 2 teaching subjects to degree level, you can apply for your professional Masters in Education following the degree to continue on to get the qualification that will allow you to register with the Teaching Council and teach the 2 subjects you studied in your degree at second level education. They will have mapped onto the second level curriculum. There are seminars held on a regular basis by our Career Development Department to help and assist and answer queries or questions from many students who are interested in the PME. So there's people in there who are quite specialised in how that process works. So there's lots of assistance available for you if you're interested in that pathway. One of the many advantages a graduate of any discipline has, is that there's many conversion masters you can achieve or you can go and decide to take once you have a graduate profile. That's one of the many advantages of having a level 8 degree. And one of those conversion masters that have been available now for many years is the one for primary school teaching. And it's open to graduates of any discipline. So anybody who has a level 8 honours degree, including an arts degree, can apply for that and proceed on into primary school teaching as an add-on 2-year extra. Now, anybody who knows, if you're looking at primary school teaching as a qualification, the points are consistently high because there's only 4 centres in Ireland offering that programme of study. So the conversion masters is an attractive route. However, one must remember that there is a requirement of higher level Irish for that area of study. So anybody who applies for the conversion masters in primary school teaching, they will be asked immediately they apply to sit what they call a TEG exam, to demonstrate that you have the higher level standard in Irish at oral and written standard. And from that, then, if you meet that standard, there's an interview process you engage with, and hopefully on the back of that, you'll get a place on your conversion masters training programme. Following year one study, depending on the subjects you have chosen, if you've taken these subjects in first year, there are pathways then into these areas. So essentially, you'd have used your first year programme as a stepping stone whereby you can move seamlessly across into year two on second year registration. And it is seamless, and there's nothing complicated about it, because once you've passed your first year and achieved the grades required, the system knows that. And so when you go back to re-register, you'll be allowed to do so. Then we offer in the arts degree what we call the specialised arts, or the denominated degrees. And denominated really is just a term where we use that you can go in and go into areas of kind of particular areas of training. New this year is creative writing with English. It won't be for everybody, but if you're interested in the whole area of narrative structures and how we can get into a narrative engagement with the world around us, work with award-winning authors, be involved in a very proactive way within the arts and its role, very active role in the society we're in. Narrative structures within arts have always been a fantastic way where mankind can go in and debate issues in his society about ourselves and others, where we learn a lot about each other's, and sometimes what cannot be spoken about can be actually written about. And it's allowing people to get in many guises in exploring humanity and our existence in the role of literature, prose, poetry, drama, etc. Not for everybody, but if you're interested, it's well worth a look. The points of entry won't be known until it's a new degree, until places are awarded on the round one offers through the CAO in the end of August, hopefully. Media degree is also available in the arts degree. We have media study in arts, and that one is quite academic, it's theoretical. There isn't actually a practical work involved in it. But with the BA Media Studies degree, about 50% of that course is quite practical. And you can take it with art subjects of your choice. You can take it with languages, law is an option in there. You can take it with some business options or art subjects. So it's really a media arts degree. And it's a fantastic way of learning how to engage with the world around you, using the technologies associated with media through film, lighting, sound, etc. And it has many applications, not just for the media industry alone, but if you look at our world and how we communicate in modern times, social media platforms are growing in popularity and usefulness. And definitely those type of skill sets are very applicable in a wide variety of jobs. I mentioned music and arts a moment ago, and we mentioned the BMUS. Here's the BMUS in music. And for this one, you're doing a major really in music in first year, and you take an option in arts in that first year. And that's allowing you the flexibility that if you wished after year one and you've passed your exams, you could transfer back into the arts degree. But after year one, you're just taking music on its own. And again, you enter that degree through an engagement with the department. So if you have it on your list of choices by February the 1st, then in early March, you can expect an email from the department telling you next steps about the assessments as part of the admission process. And if they are in a position to offer you a place in the degree, then all you need to do is meet the minimum entry requirements. You're looking now at our two areas, the BA in psychology and the BSc in psychology. Both of these are accredited by the Psychological Society of Ireland. So we have a 3-year BA and a 4-year BSc. The difference in these degrees is that students taking the BA do a 3-year programme. It's an accredited programme. In first year, they take art subjects with psychology and psychology only in years 2 and 3. In the BSc, these students will take maths, science subjects with psychology in first year and psychology only then for the remaining years. However, in year 3, students aren't present on the campus. At that stage, they have either signed up for a research programme, it could be a study abroad programme or Erasmus year, or it could be work experience. So these students have made a decision that they want experiential learning as part of their degree. But at the end of the day, the accreditation is equal to both. They're both equally accredited by the Psychological Society of Ireland. So inherent within the study of psychology is understanding the scientific basis and principles on which psychology is based. The theories around human behaviour are all based on the research principles, and that's all scientifically related into neurology, biological development of the brain. You learn a lot about using statistical analysis to back up your research and report writing. So where psychological studies in arts covers quite an amount of material from the psychology degree, what's missing is the research methodology, which is taught within these programs. But for the degree with the BA in psychological studies, to get the accreditation, there's an extra year of study that addresses that at master's level, that would give you the accredited qualification at that stage. If you're interested in working with people who are working at the margins of our society, if you're interested in the social welfare sector, how it's financed, the policies and the research that are implemented there to assist a more equal society, there's a lot of people who don't have the same rights and don't have the same access to services, education, etc., as many of us had a privilege to do. And it's about looking at pathways where you can utilise that experience and that research knowledge within those areas of work. And one of the most popular ones possibly would be to move on from the social science degree and add on a master's in social work, if that was a route that you wanted to take. But it has many applications out there in the world of work and society, in the health services at government level itself as well. BA Youth and Community and Youth Work, that's our second restricted programme. The first one there was the BMOS. This one, again, you need to apply by February the 1st, because the department then will be in contact with you about various assessments that they will hold with you from March on, because the assessment is really on your suitability for doing the degree. The degree is very hands-on. It's a very, very hands-on area of working in communities, setting up programs of support or study of whatever that community actually needs, and looking at gaining the funding and gaining access from the Department of Finance for the funding that you might need for any of those projects. And there is supervised work placement as part of it, but it does lend itself to a professional qualification, hence the assessments that go with it. And once you've passed those assessments, then you are asked to meet the minimum entry requirements. Sources of information, obviously you have the prospectus, which is available as a digital copy online, but of course you can submit a request online and it will be posted out to you as well. As I mentioned earlier, the MH101 Art Subject Guide is very useful. You'll find that under our undergraduate section of the website. It's under the publication section, and it's an A to a Z directory of all the subjects that are available in arts and the transfer pathways through them. So how all of this leads to employment. The world of employment really are looking for people who have a great sense of responsibility, understand how to meet targets and deadlines, can think on their feet. What employers are telling us all of the time is they want people that are ready to be trained. As one employer said to me, Kay, I can train anybody to fill a vacancy in the company I have, but I have to have a standard of education from which I can train them. And in the world of employment, they want people who can think on their feet, can manage a timetable, know how to meet targets, know how to meet deadlines, have effective communication skills, can work on their own initiative, but also within a group, can adapt to change very readily, can think on their feet and source information quite readily. And when you're looking at the structure of a level 8 degree, including an arts degree, this is where these programs come into their own. Now, one admits that there are areas of work out there where professional qualifications are required, or you might have to register into an accrediting body to function, such as in teaching or medicine, or if you want to work as a software developer, or if you want to work in related areas like a chartered accountant, etc., etc. We know of those areas of work. But there's over 60% of us in the workforce where a graduate profile is sufficient. And once you have that level 8 degree under your belt, there are many conversion masters you can now access and go off and specialise within a subsection of a degree you have chosen, or go off and specialise in a completely different area. So it gives you a platform of choice. And it can do that because inherent in the structure and teaching methodology of all of these degrees are those skills. You're trained in those skills. This is the world of self-directed learning. And especially those of you here this evening who are coming out of second level education, that is very directed. You have a very strict schedule on a timetable. You have homework allocation, you have homework correction. You're being monitored all of the time. The schedule is very, very structured all day. So it's a very supported platform of education. And that's what level 5 teaching is. But if we were to continue on to teach you in that method and in that means, then you would stay at level 5. Level 8 teaching puts 80% of the work towards the student, where students take a lot more responsibility. They learn a lot about taking on responsibility for their work. They learn about the world of research. They learn how to find pathways through information. They learn how to work as a group. They learn how to work on their own individual basis. They know how to be self-motivated. They understand timetables and schedules. When you attend a lecture for 50 minutes, you note-take. But to follow through on the material from that lecture, you have to think about allocating 2 to 3 hour study in your own time. So you learn quickly how to adapt into a timetable of your own making, where you keep your eye on the ball and you keep up with your work. You're forward facing 2 exams twice a year, one midwinter and one again in May. So the material from the lectures is very, very important to attend, because it is the best preparation for doing well in your exams and following through on your study. As Dara mentioned at the previous seminar, and he'll talk about it now as well, support is there. You'll have your tutors. Lecturers are delighted to chat to you and talk to you and help you in any way they can. But the only motivating factor in all of this is your passion, your interest, and your choice. It's very difficult to keep up with this level of work if you haven't got those interests. And there's where arts really comes in its own, because that flexibility and choice in that first year really allows you that space in a third level environment to decide for yourself what really is interesting you, what would motivate you to work, where your interests really lie. Now, it's not perfect either. If you like something in the region of 87 to 88% of the degree content, you're doing really, really well. Because remember, when the HEA is going to award you with a level 8 honours degree, the reality is you'll have to have an awareness of various aspects of this programme, or the knowledge that will be required as a graduate of this discipline. So the reality is there will be aspects and modules there you mightn't have chosen personally, but it's part of the full award. So that means going to those lectures, taking those notes, submitting those essays and sitting those exams. So it's about having that reality check as well. If you like the majority of it, you're doing really well. It's a bit like most of our job contracts. The majority of it will be fine. Essay deadlines have to be met. There are penalties for late submission, and when you submit your essays and your work, it gets submitted online and dates stamped on receipt. You quickly learn not to miss your targets and not to miss your deadlines, because that is a very, very important thing at work as well. So the reality is, as a graduate, after 3 or 4 years of study, you'll have learned a lot about time management, thinking on your feet, research skills, presentation skills. You've learned a lot how to handle and source information, and how to develop a confidence in the work that you're doing, because you know and you've expanded your knowledge, you've grown confidence and sense of self-worth. And then you have the whole experience of college itself through the clubs and societies that give you a whole microcosm of experience of human reality, and allows you to make connections and make friends and have experience perhaps you can't avail of in your own local area. So that is the beauty of the arts degree. We have open days coming up. If you didn't make the open day on November, we have an excellent open day coming up again on in springtime on Saturday the 12th of April. I often think that is one of our best open days, because especially for Leaving Certificate students, they've been through the year, they see how the dust is settling, they see how things are working out for you points wise, and you get a better sense of how the year is going, and you might be in a better mindset as regards. Now, I know the CAO will have closed, but remember, it'll reopen again in early May for you allow you to use your change of mind facility. So a fantastic opportunity to engage with lecturers across all the disciplines, chat to students and look at the facilities, talk to people in accommodation, look at the student services and the students' union, because third level works across both pillars. You have your academic qualification, but in conjunction of that you have the whole life experience in third level, and that is the piece that employers really want to hear a lot about at interviews. And of course we follow that through with another open day just before the change of mind for July the 1st, there on Saturday the 28th of June. So I think it's time for me now to stop chatting and talking and introduce you to both of our lovely panellists here tonight. Dara is our student, Dara Doyle. Thank you for joining us. And we're also joined, and thank you for joining us, Sheila. Sheila is our Deputy Admissions Officer within the University, who's busy tonight, hopping from webinar to webinar and assisting people in all sorts of ways as they're working through the systems tonight. So thank you for joining us, Sheila.
Not at all. And I was there to answer some questions, but
Thank
Dara
you.
beat me to it and had all the answers long before me. So I don't think I'm needed at all.
Uh,
Okay.
no, no, it's a pleasure to have you. Dara, I'm going to ask you to speak to us for a few moments, if at all possible, and tell us why, because people are often they're always a little bit scared about arts. They're not quite sure what it's about, and what's really involved in it. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why you chose the arts degree at Maynooth?
Well, I chose the arts degree at Maynooth because I knew after getting my mocks, I had the idea of what I was going to get and for what I wanted to do, which was law. I knew I wasn't going to get in directly. So what I done was I applied for arts and took the pathway with the change in second year. So last year I was doing law, Irish, and sociology. And now this year I'm just doing law by itself. So I've basically picked myself back up to where I wanted to be by using arts as the pathway.
Excellent. And how did you find the transfer into, because I know you've transferred into law, how did you find that transfer? Was it
It was
difficult?
quite not at all. It was
Yeah.
just when I was registering for this year, it just came up with the offer straight away. So if you're doing any degree that has that transfer option, when you apply to enroll into second year, as long as you pass, um, it will come up with the automatic offer there, and you can enroll into the degree.
Yeah. And another question I'm often asked by students, and I'm not quite sure I convince them, when you do your law modules in arts, students are inclined to think you're doing a separate kind of law, that you're not in with the other. How do you take those lectures? Are they with the law students, or do you do anything different? How did you find that experience?
So in first year, everyone done criminal law by like with each other, and then there was people who chose to do double law. They were put into the same classes as BCLs, and like you wouldn't even realize the difference. Nobody knows if you're an art student or BCL student because nobody asks.
Exactly.
So it's just really like all it is just the difference for like a BA with law and then a BCL or an LLB is just the Law Society of the King's Inn, but the Law Society of Ireland will accredit any level 8 degree. As you said, any employer will accredit any level 8 degree. They just have to train them in.
Exactly. And it is important to know that when students like yourself, Dara, do the transfer in year two, when you press that button, you're now registered and you're going to graduate with a recognised law degree. So
Yeah,
all you've done is bought yourself a year to decide that yes, that this really is the qualification I want to do. And if you didn't like it in first year, you could have always gone on with your other two art subjects. College life,
yeah, it
Dara,
came
yeah,
back.
exactly. College life,
Yeah.
Dara, how has that been for you? Have you made friends and joined activities?
I've made a good few friends. I've joined a few societies and I'm a committee member on some of them.
That's fantastic.
So I work, well, I'm the treasurer for the European Law Students Association here. So we're hosting international competition. We do it every year in Minute. So we'll have countries from like we'll have like law students from Albania, Greece, Italy, France, like they'll all come and stay and enter our competition. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well, is like networking with people like who have very different aspects of like law and like very different systems. Um, but then even the social settings, it's really like we host coffee mornings for commuters. So like if you're commuting, you're not able to stay past a certain time, there'll always be like a coffee morning or like a midday event hosted by some of the societies for people to join. And then also if you're living on campus, there's like like loads of things to do as well. Which like all the events like will happen at like 7 or so. So like it will you'll be able to make friends very easily.
Great. So you don't find it difficult to mix,
No, not at all.
because I think it
Because
can.
if you sorry, if into a club or society, all them people in that club or society event have the same interests as you, so there's always something to talk about.
That is fantastic, because I think sometimes students feel it a bit daunting when they're, especially from school environment into the third level environment. It's a huge transition. Did you find it in the first few weeks? Did you find it easy enough to settle in and make friends, or did you find it difficult? How was your experience?
Because of the subject I chose, it was so big. There was like just loads of people. So like you'd have people come up and ask you, like ask you questions, and like you might do the same. And then
Yeah.
you end up just hanging out with each other and like befriending people.
Yeah, so, and the one thing the students will always say about Maynooth is there's a great sense of community about it. There's always things to do. It's easy enough to make friends. That like people mix very easily with each other. Do you commute, Dara, or do you live around the campus, or?
No, I commute. I'm a 40-minute bus. So I'm from Navan, but then again, like it is very, since it's like in town and it's not in the city, it's like it is very community based.
Mhm.
So it'd be easier to like know the town, know where you're going.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
but then also if you did want to go to Dublin, it's like only a bus away.
It is only a bus away. And but I love the fact you brought up you're actually commuting every day, because sometimes people are inclined to think if I'm commuting, I'm going to miss out on the clubs and societies, but that's not your experience.
No, it's not. So as long as you put yourself out there, it's very easy to join these clubs and societies.
Yes.
And a lot of the things is even for the other society I'm involved in, we actually base it around other people's timetables, knowing that they'll be in college and knowing that they don't have a lecture. So
Yeah.
it's like we meet everyone's like time and we like allocate it like for each other.
That's fantastic to hear. And it's lovely to hear. And anybody who's sitting here thinking, I have to commute, so I'm going to miss out, be assured that Dara isn't the only one. I know one of our students who commutes to us, she's actually on her master's now. She's completed her degree in business, is on a master's in business at the moment. She commutes to us every day from Longford and has done the whole way through her degree and through her master's. And like all she did was invest in a good pair of earphones. And she says her train time is her study time. And she gets so much done on the train to and from Longford every day, because affording accommodation just wasn't in her remit. She didn't have the budget for that. And we find a lot of students like that who are commuting from Cavan, who are commuting from Carlow. And when you're in secondary school, you think this is not doable. But in actual fact, it is. It is doable. And it's just about changing and altering your mindset and getting your head around it. And you'd quickly develop the stamina, don't you, Dara?
Oh yeah, like when you think of it, because Cavan is like it's another hour on from my bus and it goes to Cavan. So to like think of another hour may seem dreadful, but then also like if you're on your phone, it's not bad at all.
Not at all. And as I said, students can read and they can research or just rest up. It's as simple as that.
Mm.
So it's amazing. At the end of the day, it's the qualification that matters. So you can make these things work. And I suppose that's the sense we want to give you tonight, that, most things are achievable when you have the mindset for it. It's about just finding your niche, and you'll work best where you're happiest at. Sheila, have we any interesting questions in there you want to throw our way out into the audience there?
Yes, certainly. So some interesting ones there, and I suppose just a note. Somebody asked about primary school teaching. There is currently another session on our teaching degrees, and I've given the link there. And
Thank you.
whoever that is, they should click on that link and get in there quickly.
Absolutely,
It'll
absolutely.
still be going on till 9 o'clock. A good question on return to learning. Does it exempt you from critical skills? No, it doesn't. It's a really good preparation for any degree, the return to learning is, but it doesn't exempt you from anything. So just to note that.
Excellent.
Sorry, it's a new question. Nope, that's just a thank you. Yeah, and Dara answered all those other questions. So I think we're good,
We're
Kay.
good. That's
Yeah.
Um,
fantastic.
yeah,
Yes,
sorry, it
Dara.
was just one of the questions. I'm pretty sure when it comes to teaching, you should do a double major, because if you've done a major minor, you're not qualified to teach the minor subject. I just wanted to make sure that is the case with the allocated credits.
You may be, your instincts are quite right, Dara. In some occasions, you might have enough credits with the minor, but I, like you, Dara, will always say to an applicant who's thinking about secondary school teaching, you really are best advised to take your subjects as a double major, and that way you will be ensured that you won't be missing any credits when you actually get to apply for your PME. In theory, the minor should be sufficient, but you don't want to be in a situation where there was a credit missing because you opted for another subject in another credit in your other option. So it's always best to check with the Career Development Office, but I, like you, Dara, would always advise and have always advised students, if you're thinking about secondary school teaching, the best way to approach it, really the one where you're going to have no disappointments at the end of it, is to take a double major in your 2 subjects in second and third year.
Yeah, that's everything that's covered on the questions there, Kay. And I'm
That's
wondering
fantastic.
if our
I wonder.
attendees have anything else they might like to ask, just pop them in there now, because otherwise,
Otherwise
we'll
we'll
be
let you
finishing
go.
up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you very much for attending in such large numbers. We do appreciate that tonight, and hopefully you found it some benefit. And thank you very much, both of you, Dara and Sheila, for coming along and being part of the session. So
No problem.
that's
Not
it.
at all. Great to be
That's
here.
it. It's fantastic. Have we another question popped
There
in there?
is, yeah. Let's pull this up here. No, it's a thank you. Okay, thank you.
That's
for
fantastic.
Okay.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. So right, that's it. So we'll say good night and live, and it's a safe home, or you're obviously at home, but enjoy the rest of your evening. And for those of you who are sitting the Leaving Cert, every good wish with it. Keep the plans, keep the head down, and do the best you can. Remember, attendance at school is good. Points are happening in the classroom. Do the best you can is all we will say to you. And remember, come back and visit us. We would love to see you again in April, and we'd love to see you again in June. And we're open for business, and do remember to keep in touch with us through email and the webinars. And we're always happy to answer your queries or your questions at any stage while you're making those very important decisions. So Gura Milo Mahagweb Galer, thank you very much for attending, and thank you so much, Dara, for all your insight into
No
student
problem.
life and for answering questions so well. And Sheila, thank you so much for being in attendance and support tonight. I do appreciate it. And
Not at all. Well
take
done,
care.
Kay, and thanks.
Not
Bye-bye,
at all.
everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Right, slán gach den.
Tá slán gach duine.